My name is Mark Huckvale. I'm a lecturer in the Department of Speech, Hearing and Phonetic Sciences, which is part of the Division of Psychology and Language Sciences. I work in the area of computers and speech. My background is in both in engineering and in phonetics, in the structure and study of speech sounds. So I'm interested in computers and speech, getting computers to use speech sounds with the same sophistication in the way that humans use speech sounds to communicate. So we want machines that can produce speech sounds and understand speech sounds such with the same sort of level of accuracy and quality that humans can. Now, the reason we haven't been able to do that very well so far is because we've been trying to program the ability to speak into computers rather than setting up our computers to learn how to speak. So infants are not programmed to speak. They acquire language through social interaction with their caregivers, with adults that are around them. And so they learn how to use speech rather than be told how to use speech. So what I want to do is to create a machine learning system, which when we put that system into a social environment with its caregivers, it will pick up on the social interactions, on what's happening in the environment, in the speech sounds that are made. And then from that it will learn how to use speech sounds itself to be able to ask for things in the environment or name things in the environment or to use speech intentionally to achieve things, achieve goals. The problem in trying to build a machine learning system which will work inside a social environment is, of course, that we have to get the people, the caregivers, the subjects in our experiments to communicate with the computer in the same way that caregivers would communicate with infants. So to that end, I've tried to create what I've called a virtual infant, which sits as an interface between the machine learning system and the caregivers. So the virtual infant is an animated three-dimensional head. It has changeable facial expressions. It can hear through a microphone. It can see through a webcam. And it can also speak through a simulated infant vocal tract, so it can make real infant-like noises when it tries to speak. And so what we're trying to do with this is to get the machine learning system through the virtual infant to prompt subjects to respond, and then the subjects or the caregivers in this experiment will talk back to the infant, the virtual infant, in a similar way to which they might talk back to a real infant. And so what we're able to do is to collect these interactions. We can instrument them, we can record them, we know exactly what the infant did, and we know exactly what the caregiver was responding to and in the way it was speaking. And then through that that is all information that can be used for the machine learning system to try and find out how to control the infant and to find out how to communicate through speech. As a simple example, we've done an experiment recently in which all we asked caregivers to do was to repeat back sounds that the virtual infant had produced. Now, in fact, the virtual infant was producing pretty much random sounds, but when caregivers repeated back those sounds, they repeated back those sounds as if they were English words, if they had the sound structure of English when they were spoken back to the infant. So what that means is the infant can say, well, what kinds of sounds do I need to produce for the adult to be able to produce particular English sounds, and effectively from that determine what particular sounds are important in English, what particular sounds can I make which will prompt particular different words, different sounds from the adults. In that way the learning system can actually start to acquire the logical structure of the pronunciation of language. In the future, what we'd like to do is to move well beyond that so that the system can learn about the fact that there exist words. Although adults don't talk to infants as single words, we know that infants discover the fact that sentences are made up of primitive elements, and the primitive elements represent the names of objects and events in the environment. And so the system itself would have to discover the fact that words themselves existed, and then from that develop a lexicon of words and a lexicon of meaning and associated meanings, such that they can then start to name objects and events in the environment, and ultimately that will lead us to a system which is using speech in a meaningful way to relate to actual things in the environment, rather than simply being programmed to respond blindly and unknowingly to actual speech, which is the situation we have at the moment.